Hi friends, my name is Megan and welcome to episode 88 of A Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast. Hello, happy April from here in the Pacific Northwest. If you are new to the channel, thanks for finding me here on my little corner of the internet. If you are returning, thanks for coming back. I hope that you had a really great week since last episode and that you have some knitting ready to catch up with me. So for anyone who's new, this is a video podcast series where I go through all the things I have been knitting and working on and dreaming of and buying over the last week. I am a knitter, crocheter, hand spinner, and well, I have a wheel, and sometimes cross stitcher, once a week cross stitcher. I have a lot of projects always on the needles, and I have a lot of fun things to talk about with you. So let's just jump into it. Oh, I also read a lot. So if you are new to the channel, I do a segment on the books I've read this past week. Yeah. And so that's that. I didn't do any book stats for the quarter when I did my stats last week. We don't need to talk about that right now. Maybe I'll do a half year stat. What I would like to do this year, and I did not do before, ever, is actually keep one of those like best book of the month. But I think I need to do that in two genres because I mostly read romance and romantasy or fantasy. And maybe I would clump those together. To pick like which one so that I could have, it's kind of like bracket style, so you can have one for the year, like what was your favorite read from the year, because otherwise I always forget and it's just like your finished object, and my favorite one is the last one. Okay, so let's talk through some things that we normally do, which is first going to be what I'm wearing, and then my FOs, which I have one, and then whips. So let's go through what I'm wearing. Okay, for anyone who doesn't remember, this is my first ever fully handspun garment. This is the DRK Everyday from Andrew Mowry. Okay, I finished this December 10th of last year. I started it November 23rd. This one was really fast. It took me 17 days to make. And I spun this really fast too. I think I spun all of this yarn in like 2 weeks. It was pretty wild. I didn't do much else besides spin during that time too. So, and this is my A Naughty Mess podcast color way, which I will show you in fiber form because I have no fiber left from this, but I do have a tweed. So when it was the end, well, actually, I think I got this gifted to me from Trisha, and this from Yarn Jam, and Trisha gifted me some amount so I could make a sweater, and then I also purchased a bunch from her, but this one I purchased, and this is on the colorful tweed. It's got my name there. How cute is that? So special, and this will forever, it doesn't matter how many handspun things I make in the future, this will still probably be the most special. Not only because it's my first, but this is a colorway crafted for me. And there's like, I don't know, like even if I find other perfect colorways later, like I don't know if that anything could trump this. So here it is. I made a size 4. My finished circumference was 46 inches. I have the other measurements. My bicep was 16. You can just go to the measurements if you follow me on Ravelry. And I followed the pattern pretty closely. I did choose a smaller size than my bust because even though it's like 4 inches or something is recommended ease, but because I wanted to have a closer fitting circular yoke, my upper bust is about 43 inches, and I like to have not a lot of room. I feel like that's where you get like the really weird armpit holey type things and like the bat wings. So this fits really nicely. I'm not going to stand up. I'm sure I have popped up a picture already somewhere that shows me standing wearing this. These are pictures from when I first finished it. And I will say, I said this previously, and this stands, is that I wish I had done another 1/2 inch or a whole inch more. This is sitting pretty high in my armpit. Not that that's not comfortable, but it does pull the neckline down a bit, which is fine. But the traditional neckline for this is like pretty close fitting. So I would maybe do that next time. I would also potentially do less stitches to start with and do one rapid increase right after the collar to have it also not be like a big collar. I don't know. Sorry, I have a screaming child. This is I'm filming during lunch, so we shall go pretty quickly today. But I had good light. I had a little time. This is the only time of day also. So let's go forth. I love wearing this. I did shave this for the first time. I have worn this like a handful, 2 handfuls of times, probably 10 times or so. And because I love this so much, I've worn this out of my house a bunch. So I've worn it with jackets, I've worn it with purses, you know, the whole thing. And it's held up really well. It still feels really soft. It still feels nice. There's a little bit of like fuzzing you can see just because it's a non-superwash handspun wool. Anyway, I just shaved it and I still feel like it's just got a little bit of a halo, and that's fine. And I seriously, I love it. It's very comfy. It's next to skin soft. This is Shanico, by the way. I don't think I said that. This is a 2-ply Shanico DK weight that I got from this, and it's non-superwash, like I said. So, but this is the fuzz. I got all of this beautiful purple fuzz off of the sweater when I just shaved it. The armpits were particularly fuzzy and like right under, and you can see that my armpit here is a little bit felted. That's all I'll show you for for the fit. But even with that little bit of felting, like I still feel like it looks really beautiful. It looks really beautiful when I'm wearing it out in the world to your eyeballs. And so overall, so happy with it. Okay, let's go to the first finished object this week, only finished object this week. And that is, I don't know, is this gonna surprise anybody? Probably not, because I told you I have no chill. Mike's High Lonesome is done. Okay, does it not look less like a baby sweater this week? It's not on needles. I did not pin this to dry. I wet blocked it and I laid it quite flat as I could get it on the mat. You know, I tugged it a little bit into place, and then that's where it is. I will say he has not tried this on yet. As soon as I'm done filming, hopefully it's still lunch hour, and I shall pull him outside, put this on him, and his hair looks good today because it does. And so I want to get a couple pictures of it right now. Otherwise I will forget forever. So here it is, and I think it's so great, and I love it very much, and I am very proud of it. Not just like the spin, but I think overall it's it looked really good on him pre-blocking. So I'm hoping post-blocking, which I will put a picture up of him in it somewhere, either before now or when there's space on on here. If he says it's okay. Also, I'm sure he'll be fine, but yeah, so it looks so good. Look how long these freaking arms are. And I hope that I blocked them okay, because I just let them be. I didn't like that. I didn't pin, I didn't move, I didn't really even like push back in place. The stitching, like it looked very similar to the body when I like was laying it out, so I just didn't pull in any direction really for the sleeves, and they fit him really well before pre-blocking, so I'm hoping it'll be fine post-blocking. The one thing I did tug into place was, and this is actually, I did pin at the very bottom, was that I just pulled this apart. So I did a faux sewn bind off, ribbing bind off. So basically, let's go through some things about this pattern, because I'm not going to stand up and try this on, so we could just go right into it. I didn't weigh or measure this, so please look at the Ravelry page if you want measurements, but he has a 37-ish inch chest, so I was aiming for close to 39 at the actual chest. So we'll see how I did once I actually measure it, and I'm just not going to do it now because I'm crunched for time, but I'll put the measurements into Ravelry and you can see them. It fits him well, so I think that that's where I got towards. I did extend the yoke a little bit compared to pattern. Yeah, so mods, there is short row shaping on the back at the top. So pre color work, there's like 6 short rows or something like that. It's not a lot. When I tried it on him pre split for sleeves, I thought that the back was raised kind of a lot, like, and he's a dude, so he's got like a little bit more back muscles, and he's a little flatter in the chest, right? So in order to make sure that the back was sitting even and he doesn't get like a lift at his butt, also I did some color work, or I did some short rows also underneath of the color work. So there's short rows at the top that create this kind of view, and there's short rows at the bottom that do the same kind of view. So I did the same style of short rows. You can't really see them, like they don't they're not super obvious, but that did allow for his, like, it to really sit flat. And I checked, you know, a couple of times when I tried it on him, and it was all sitting flat. And then I did do some body decreases because I did extra underarm stitches. This size was like 3 underarm stitches, and I think I did 9. So I did 6 extra on each side, and then I decreased out 6 extra stitches on each side through the body. So then it was the right body count down by his hips, and his hips are smaller than his chest, but it doesn't like look baggy. It doesn't even look particularly straight because it does taper a little bit. It still gives that like illusion. It looks really nice, and it is kind of long on him. This goes like to his mid butt. Hopefully, we'll see with blocking. And then this goes all the way just kind of like here, just past where his watch will sit. Maybe just like a 1/2 inch more than where mine are sitting now. Because he wears an Apple Watch, you know, whatever. So that's the back. This is the front. That's the only mods I made. Extra short rows, a little extra depth in the yoke, and then extra underarm stitches just to get closer because the sizes were like 4 inches apart. This is supposed to be a 38.5 inch chest measurement. This is a size 3, and I, you know, just wanted to give him a little bit extra room and then taper. So, okay, that's what I have to say about this. I will say I got 4 full 100-gram balls of yarn for this, not including the contrast. The contrast I used not very much. I still probably have, this is gonna be hard. Like I'd have to count it again on my yardage counter because it's not like super consistent. So I mean, I guess I could guess what it was, but I have this much left of one ball, and I have probably a little bit more than this of another ball. So maybe I have like 50-ish grams left, maybe a little bit more than that. So I used 3.5-ish skeins. And then the contrast, which I feel like I think that's what the pattern called for. That's why I got 4. Even extending sleeve length and body length. And I think that that's pretty good. Yeah, so I'll do some things. I'll do gauge measurement, and I'll do actual body measurement and stuff. And I'll put the picture up of him. Hopefully I've already done that. But I won't add that here on the podcast. I will just put that part into Ravelry, the measurements. So, including how much yarn. I weigh everything and I put it in the tracker. And I usually put it in Ravelry. I'm less reliable when it's not a test, but I'm trying my best this year to just really have full notes, especially because I think dude sweaters are kind of hard. And even for like the ones that were in Ravelry, there were a couple that had notes, but not a lot. Some with really good notes, but like there were a couple for dudes that just like didn't have notes. And I know they had to make adjustments because like it was unisex adjacent, right? Like it really wouldn't have fit him just if I made it without trying it on him. So I am glad he lives here and I could do that. But yeah. Overall though, I thought that the pattern it's a pretty short pattern. It was really easy to read. I've not made a Caitlin Hunter anything before, so this is my first. So I'll see how I like the fit and styling for me because I'm going to do the Alpine Bloom this year. But for him, I thought it was easy. The gauge was nice. I loved the color work chart. I just like really like color work. So I'm really excited to have this for him. He put it on pre-blocking too, and he was like, wow, it's like it was made for me. He's silly, but he was really excited about it, and it wasn't even blocked, and it's gonna be even better once he puts it on later today. So done. Okay, let's go on to finish yarn. So spin update. Spin update here is that I finished 2 red bobbins, 2 blue bobbins, and a 3rd red bobbin afterwards. I'm in the middle of a blue bobbin. I'm going to switch back and forth for the last 2. And here is skein 2. And here is, I just put the ties on it, and that's fine. I just need to wash both of these. This is quite a lot of pigtails happening here in the springiness, but I think it'll wash fine. It plied pretty nicely, And I'm thinking this is pretty close to a fingering weight. So it might be a slightly light fingering for some parts of it, but I think it'll be okay. And I think it will potentially give me a really nice summer top. This is Merino Tencel again. I don't know who the dyer is because I got this from somebody. It didn't come with an actual card. She just gave me the note that it was Merino Tencel. So, but I have, again, this is a combo spin. I had a blue braid that had a little bit of red on one part, and then it was like bluey and purple and some green. And then I had mostly just a red and purple. So obviously red and purple are predominant here. There's bits of greeny, like, let me see. There's bits like right here. You can see there's like teal in some of them, but yeah, it's overall going to be like a purpley red thing, whatever it is. So I could do something depending on the yardage I get, like fingering how double for a DK and really give it a good color mix, or I could just do something fingering weight, which is probably what I'm going to do because I think a summer top for the Merino Tencel. I'm going to have quite a lot of yardage though, so I might do like a transitional top instead and do something with like long or 3/4 sleeves. I don't know. We'll see. This one, it's hard to tell until I pull it off, which maybe I'll do that in a second, but I think this one looks more purple than the other one, personally. But shall we pull it off and see? I also think this one is a little less, yeah, this is a little more balanced than the other one. Yeah, overall, I think it does look a little bit more purple. And I'm spinning, so I still have some red left over on both of the bobbins that I spun from, have some red left over. So I am going to, and that's probably just how I split because I wasn't being very specific. I'm going to spin all the blue, red, blue, red, or blue, red, blue singles that are left. Then I will apply probably like my first blue with my last red of those 4, and then my first red with the last blue, you know, just to kind of keep it consistent. And then anything left over in blues, I will just pull from one of the red bobbins and hopefully we get more evened out. This looks like a pretty small red bobbin, so it's potentially that I could just, and I will not do small for those. What I'll probably do is I'll just try to splice the end of this red bobbin with whatever's left over to just like kind of a continuous until I run out of that blue again. That's the plan, at least. We'll see. But I'm really loving it. So that's fun. Okay, let's move on to works in progress. I have one that I am stalled on and only until the weekend. So, but I made a ton of progress. And so, I mean, I guess, I don't know, a ton of progress? I feels like a ton of progress. This is my Checkerplate Sweater, which is a sample for Witchfire Fibers. Last week when you saw this, I was done sleeves and I was here on the body. And then I finished, yeah, I finished the ball of yarn that was attached, and then I finished the end of the sleeve ball, knowing I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'll run out of yarn before I'm done, and I was correct. So Jess gave me 5 skeins for this, and I really needed 6, just like per the pattern measurements, 6 was what was needed anyway. I think she's only bringing me 1 this weekend. She is coming to Le Mercerie to do a spin class this weekend, which is so fun. I think she's doing spindle spinning, which I'm not interested in. Just like generally as a life premise, I'm not interested in. I think it's really great when people do it, and I get why people do, like having e-spinners and wheels, and like I'm tempted to get an e-spinner just for the mobility of it, but like my wheel doesn't weigh a lot. I can move it around my house, yada yada, and I like the power I can get from it and how sturdy it is. I like the idea of the mobility of a drop spindle, or like a supported spindle, but I just like don't think I have the patience. I barely have the patience for wheel spinning, and I can go quite fast on that. So it's just, you know, you got to know yourself. Maybe one day I'll slow down one day, but yes. So here we are. I have 2.5 inches left of body and then the split hems. I will be very close to running out of yarn. This will really eat all 6 skeins. So I'm excited though. It's turning out really, you know how I feel about this. it's great. A sample I also would like to have someday. And as a reminder, that is a size 3. It is 46.5 inches. It's supposed to have 6 to 10-ish inches. Kind of, there's a weird note on the pattern. I don't know if I said this is a Lily Kate France pattern. She is Lily Kate Makes on Instagram. I used a 4.5 millimeter on the body, or am using, and ribbing for neck, collar, and cuffs was 3.75. I think it's a little different from the pattern. And I think you're not supposed to go down for the hem. I'm going to debate to see how, I think you can block the hem to be the right measurements, even if you do go down and it makes it look a little bit neater, but I will sort of evaluate as I get there. And this is a sample, and the sample is Witchfire Fibers, and it is her Natural DK, which is 100% non-superwash organic merino, and it's 231 yards for 100 grams. And the color is Coven Sister, and it is so soft, and it's so nice, and it has quite a nice twist on it. So I think that even though it will pill, it's a non-superwash, it will not pill as much as my EKF non-superwash. That is my belief. I'm sticking with it. Okay, let's go on to what's next. I have skipping the crosshatch hacked again. I did not recast on, but I will. I'm going to give you a very small update to my book club cardigan. I'll move my marker, and then we'll evaluate next week. Hopefully I'll have quite a lot more done. This one is like, I just can't work on it all the time. Like, I need to be in my correct mindset, but also I need to be like in a place where I have my computer, because that's what I'm using to work on it right now. But this is the back panel. And last time you saw it was here, so I didn't add a lot of inches, but I am nearly done. Like I think I have 2 or 4 rows left of the increases. So that's looking pretty correct. And then this is where I'll pick up. So then I've got like 3 inches to do on the bottom. So I'm really hoping, putting it out there in the universe. I think I said this before, but like, let's hope I get to it this week. I'm going to try to finish the back panel this week and do 1 shoulder pickup. I feel like I'll feel really good about this. Also, I forgot that this gauge and everything is like, it moves pretty quickly. Like I don't need to spend a ton of time knitting this. I just have to give it some time. And I had a good time putting a couple extra rows on this week. I think I added like 6 rows. And so I need to just do. Okay. Telling you, so you remember. I won't go over any other details on that this week because I really had none, but that's a Sorry Nordland pattern. And so, and I'm doing a modified thing. And next week when we go through the shoulder pickup, I think if I have that, that's where we can re-go through what the modifications are. Let's go through my Comfort Core socks. This is a pattern by Summer Lee, who is Summer Lee Knits. I love this pattern so far. It's pretty fun. I still have 2 severely different colored socks. This has never happened to me, but like Sylvan saw them this week and she said this has happened to her when she's pulled from inside outside before for socks. So it's an interesting phenomenon. So I'm pulling inside outside of one skein. I didn't split in half. I just have them both connected to the same ball, and it is just quite different colors. They're sisters, not twins. That's fine. That's like my eyebrows. My eyebrows are always sisters, not twins. So last week was here. I had just finished the gussets, completed gussets for both of them, and was getting ready to do this special part of the sock. So the Comfort Core series is all to sort of imitate an athletic sock. Let me pull these needles out a little more and you can kind of see from the side. So you can see that it is cinched in quite a lot at that part right there. So that I'm doing view A, which has a 2x2 cuff and leg. There's no difference. There's no like real cuff. It's just the leg. It's got a traditional heel flap and gusset with like the slipped stitch pattern. It's got a nice little heel turn. It's got, I think the gussets and pickup and everything look pretty smooth in this. And then it's got seed stitch across the top. And it's got stockinette on the foot, on the sole of the foot. And then it goes into this knit one, slip one. So it's just the same as what the heel is around for a certain, whatever your size is and or measuring your foot. There is like, she has a diagram for how to measure your foot for this too. I just did what was suggested for the size, but I did the I picked the starting point because I put it on my husband. These are for his older brother, who has nearly the same size foot as him. So I just made that guess. And then after that, you go back in to seat stitch. So I am on the second seat stitch. I'm just like back into the foot. I think I probably have like 2 more inches and then I'll start toes for both of them. They're nearly at the same row. And so, yeah, but the seat stitch looks pretty cute, actually. I'm trying to do it pretty tight. The sole looks pretty tight. I am doing this on 2mm needles. That is new for me with the socks, but I do think that's probably what I need to do. I'm not a super tight knitter, and for socks, I want them to last, and I want them to just be a little bit tighter. So we're trying this on the first gift one. I will then also, and I'm dead on for gauge. I also needed to do that because the gauge for this was like 36 stitches. The last sock I did was the Krufka socks, and for me, I was on gauge for those also, which they were 34 stitches, and the 2.25 was fine. For the 36, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get 36, even if I try to strangle the yarn. So I did the size down, and I'm dead on for gauge, both actually row and stitch gauge. So I will continue on and hopefully finish these next week, and then these little buddies will be done. And I will immediately cast on my other brother-in-laws. I'm going to do a different view for the socks. I might do slightly shorter ones. I've not decided, or I'll just do the ones I think it's like a 1x1 with some stripes and then 2x2. I'll see. I'll see how I feel once I get there. We'll see. And the size for those is an extra large for a 10-inch ball of your foot. That's like the size. It is an 80 stitch sock, and I am using Graphic Dye Works Step and Repeat base in the color Tiger Belly. It's a really fun color. I mean, I'm not like mad that they're 2 different colors. He's not going to care. Maybe he'll think that's kind of fun. It does make them look very hand knit. And so we'll see. I hope they fit. That's all. Okay. Let's go to, I have one new cast on, but I have one more to talk about. And that is one that probably got the most attention this week other than the High Lonesome. Really, High Lonesome for Mike, I had to finish sleeves, which I was pretty close last episode. And, well, it went pretty fast. Let's just say that. And then I had to do like 5 inches of body, but that just went really fast, like including I think I ended up adding 6. So 5 or 4.5. And then I did the hem. Here we are for my flower child. This is a test knit for Abbye and Selena at Wool and Pine Design. That's the back. Let me hold it the right way. Here it is. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. Look at that. They look really lovely now that I've got some body weighing it down. Obviously they'll block out pretty nicely, but that little petal design with the baubles, very cute. Let's talk about that actually. I don't know. I did talk about this last week, I think a little. Part of what gives this such a distinct and beautiful shape is that there is twisted stitches. They are twisted knit stitches, and there are twisted decreases, like knit 2s together and twisted SSK. It's called something else, that allow for like where the yarn overs and stuff, just keep that like a really tight line. And then the baubles are half double crochet baubles that have like a good anchor stitch to them, or like an anchoring way. They have a video to do this. I also think that it was very similar, if not identical, to the way that Andrea Mowry has her bauble, crochet bauble video. And I used that for the Daydreamer last year, and I would do a lot of baubles on that one. So I felt like very comfortable with doing the baubles on this. It is quite a lot, that 3 bauble row. 1 was fine. I think I have 16 repeats of this pattern in mine, but doing 3, that's 48, y'all. That's 48 baubles in a row. It actually didn't take that as long as I thought it would, but it was like a 30-minute row. Like it was no joke. As soon as I was done that back to normal, it was pretty fast. So here we are. I am, 4? No. I'm like a good 3 inches into the body here. And you do like 12-ish, a dozen, I don't know how many. You do 12-ish rows, I think, after, I think it depends on size, right? So like for my size, it was like 12-ish rows. Maybe that might not be right. That might be, I might be making that up. Some amount though, until you split for sleeves. The sleeves are pretty small. This is just like the Salty Air tee. It's supposed to just have the cuff right after. I'm gonna go through the body a bit more, try it on, and then see where those sit, and then request from Abbye and Selena. I might not add as much sleeve as the Salty Air, but like, because that goes all the way down to here, but maybe like here. So if I add like 1.5 inches and then do the cuff, that might be more comfortable to me than like if it's way up here. If it's way up here, it's not the end of the world or anything. I don't enjoy that for my body type and like wearing, and I want to be able to wear this. This is a Denali sock from Explore Knits and Fibers in the colorway Fantasy from the Solstice boxes. I got 2 skeins when we did our swap around, and they updated this. I will tell you this, and this is I'm a little bit annoyed about this because they released to us twice pattern like notes on yardage and gauge so we could get started before, and then when the full pattern was released, it had the same yardage and gauge information, and then they updated it this past week when I've already selected my yarn and I was gonna be clear just by a few dozen yards. I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna just make it. Yeah, now I'm like 300 yards off. So I don't know if it's truly gonna take that extra 300 yards. I mean, I'm this far. I have probably 70 grams left, and I have to do the body. So I think I will be like, I'm going to need the extra for the sleeves. I'm annoyed. That's annoying. Having that far off of yardage estimates, would have changed what I picked. Like I maybe would have picked a totally different yarn to do this in. I mean, I have some 3 skein quantities, but I picked the 2 skein because I was like, oh great, I'll be able to use these full 2 skeins and then I'll be good. I should have known that, but I did just finish the Salty Air. This gauge is tighter with 2 skeins, so I was like very hopeful that I could do the same thing here. I luckily have friends that have some of this yarn, so I'm gonna beg off 20 grams or something to see if I can finish sleeves with their yarn, or finish as much body as I want to right now, maybe another 2 or 3 inches, try it on, make the evaluation for sleeves, do the sleeves, and then I'll have a good idea of how much body, because I'll be able to weigh for how many more inches I need. Anywho, that's where we are. I'm going to probably zoom through this, not only because the deadline is early May, but also because now I'm annoyed and I want to know if I need more yarn. And I'll have to like beg that from somebody and get it from them and everything before it's done. So we'll see. Okay, one I'm not annoyed about and very excited for. Oh, and sorry, the notes will be up here hopefully already about sizing and stuff, but I am doing a size 5, which is 46 inches. I am outside of the recommended ease, and that is okay with me. I knew that going in. Again, I like a circular yoke that fits a little bit closer, and yeah, I don't think I made any mods, though I think that my gauge is slightly bigger than it is in pattern, but going down a needle size would put me too tight. So I decided to stick with this needle size. I really like the fabric I have too. So I have actually just done, like, I'm going to do a couple of body decreases just to get back to actual 46 inches right around or under bust. It's okay with me if I have a tiny bit of room there. I won't do decreases the whole body. I'll just do to get to, 46 or a little bit less inches. And so that'll sit nice. And fingering weight has so much drape that those sit really nice. I did go down a needle size from what was currently in the pattern, though that may be adjusted anyway. And I'm using 3.25 millimeter needles. Another reason I didn't want to go down to a 3 millimeters because that's just like feels aggressive, even for a t-shirt. It is not. I will obviously and have made things on smaller needles, but this is a merino, and so I'm going to err on having a little bit more airflow through the garment and be happy about that. So that's where we are right now. Okay, let's go on to my last whip, which is a new cast on. This is a test knit, another test knit. This is a test knit for Claire Jackson. It is called the Staple Tank Top. This is the back panel. I am done the back panel. I do need to cut my yarn. I did not have scissors with me last night, which is also why I just stopped. It was also late and I was tired. So I'm done all the increases. It will fit. This is a rather close to armpit knit. And the armpits are not super deep, which intentionally. So I will pop up the picture. But it is one that Claire posted last year on her page, and then people suggested that she made the pattern. She wore it to flock last year. It's got a kind of high neck. It's got nice sort of fitted armpits. And then it both has horizontal and vertical bust darts and waist shaping to make this a very fitted tank top. It has negative ease. And so I'll go through a couple of the things right now and more as we get to the bust shaping. But this is my back panel. I am doing a 40-inch upper bust. My upper bust is 43 inches. It is 40 inches is to fit 40 to 44-inch upper bust. There are 20 sizes, I think, for this. She did like every 2 inches. So crazy customizability here. You could choose anything you want, but she wanted you to have, I think, like 2 to 4 inches of negative ease at the bust. So this to me is the right size. I will do both horizontal and vertical bust shaping. So now that I'm done this, I will, and the gauge on this is 19 stitches and I am dead on, and I'm like very barely, like slightly small on row gauge, but I know that I'll be able to tug this a little bit when I block because the yarn I'm using is right here. This is my first time using this yarn. And I'm pretty excited to do it. I've had it in stash for quite a while. So this is some deep stash knitting for me here, which is great. But this is called, this is Malabrigo Silky Merino, which is 51% silk, 49% merino. It's 150 yards for 50 grams. So that's 300 yards for 100 grams. And that's like, I would say closer to a sport weight, but it is listed as a DK. And I think it's because it blooms quite a lot because this is a single ply. This is Cumparista is the color. And it's a very like, I mean, you saw it knit flat. It actually has, I think, more red tonality than you can tell inside of here, because you get these bright spots, which really do open up the whole colorway, like once it's actually knit up. I think it's really beautiful. I am not going to do any kind of helical knitting for this. I'm just not going to because I don't want to. I'll decide if in the body weird things start happening, if I get weird color pooling, but for flat, I didn't think it was necessary just because, you know, it's sort of like it's like a semi-variegated tonal. Like it's really all the same tone. You might get some slightly darker patches, but I just did not want to mess around with two skeins. So this did not use very much yarn. I mean, I still have at least more than half a skein, and that they're only 50 gram skeins. So yeah, so then I pick up the front, do the fronts, connect. Again, they're pretty high, so it's not a lot of rows. Then you do a lot, not a lot, a good amount of body together here again, and then I'll do the same underarm shaping, similar. It's a little bit different on the back, I think, or on the front, maybe just a slightly different. And then I will join. And there's right at that point is where there's some notes on bust shaping. So you're supposed to measure where because your upper bust is like basically right under your armpit. And then your full bust is where your full bust is. We all know this. For me, my full bust sits pretty low on my body. There's a lot of people where there's not as many inches of difference, but I do think you're supposed to measure where the inches of difference are so that you know, and you're supposed to try this on a lot of times because this is very customized, where you start vertical bust shaping. So I'll start vertical bust shaping just above the fullest part of my bust to get to slightly more as vertical. In case anyone does not know the difference between the two, vertical bust shaping gives you more space in the front and doesn't change the back of your the back of your knit. So the back of your knit is the same amount of stitches, should fit, you know, evenly across your back, but you need to give some more space to breast tissue if you have them. And so that's what you use them for. So they go kind of like, I guess they probably go just to the side of your bust. It depends. I'm not sure where the placement is for these. Sometimes they're like right in the middle. Sometimes they're to the side. But basically you're just giving extra stitches to this part. Then she also has, so after you complete vertical bust shaping, which should be kind of complete at your full bust, you want to do horizontal shaping, which gives you sort of like a U-shaped thing that will fit to the under your bust, so that as you continue growing, like you're giving yourself both this way, you know, horizontally, which is what vertical shaping does, and vertical space, which is horizontal bust shaping does, to give your whole bust extra coverage, so that once you are done, they will lay flat with your back. Otherwise, you get the sort of like U-shaped dome in your front, and also maybe some pulling across your front, which this is going to have negative V's, so it'll have some pulling anyway, but this is how you kind of combat the two so that it fits evenly at the bottom. Then after that, you can, if you choose to for your size, right after the horizontal bust shaping, or just a little bit after, you measure your under bust sizing, and then you just decrease rather rapidly because it's not a super long top, and before you're ribbing, to give you like a close, so the whole thing is close fitting. That's the point of it. So I hope that explanation made sense. When I go through the actual like part of mine, I will show you what I have done, and you'll see for the fit. But yes, so there's that. And I think that Claire just updated. She gave us another version that I think just has updated language for the two types of bust shaping and when they happen, so that it makes sense to people. And I had never really thought about that explanation before, but that makes a lot of sense. So vertical shaping gives you more stitches for the volume of your breast tissue, and then the horizontal gives you more space so that you don't get the rounded, you know, kind of like your shirt pulls up in the front, right? Okay, so anyway, this is the color. It's really beautiful. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know how long this will take me. Hopefully not very long. People in the test have been zooming through it, and there are a couple people that are done already. The test did start more than a week ago, and I just wasn't ready to cast it on until I got Mike's sweater off the needles. As soon as that was off, that's why I cast it on last night. So, and that's when I finished Mike's sweater yesterday. I actually finished it right before breakfast. I had like 3 rows and the bind off to do, and I got tired, and I was like, you know what, this is a thing I could mess up and I would be very upset about it. So I decided to just stop while I was ahead, get up a little bit earlier in the morning, which I usually get up and knit a little bit, but like pre-coffee or with coffee, and then I washed his pre-work, and so that was nice because I had all day yesterday and part of today to dry. So I had last night was my cast on night. I will cast on something else. I had one person message me, and then I didn't get a Instagram message or anything from them yet, but I think going to cast on my mom's sorrel. I do think, even though a baby knit would be nice to just get out of the way from the Make 9, I need to get my mom started because it's going to take quite a long time, and it's already getting nicer, and I'd like her to have it for this summer. So I just pulled out the yarn, and so this is for my mom. I think it will be in this order, and it will be this way. She wants the orange closest to her face, and she can make that choice for herself. It's not what I would do, but I think it'll look really lovely. So most of the dip stitches will be in the orange. I think all the dip stitches will be in the orange. We'll have like a little band of yellow to just around her bust or just under, and then we'll do, you know, a good deal of the body in this, or probably actually I might do a slightly smaller stripe with this so that this isn't just the very, very end. And I guess I could even switch the yellow into part of the dip stitches. I'll see how it's going. And they have a pretty good chart of like when or how, or, you know, like notes on modding the color changes, which is pretty cool. I don't think I need like all 4 skeins, so I don't think it'll be that game. I think it's more just, well, I think I'll need like a full 3 skeins. So I just need to make sure I'm making a good decision on when to switch them, and I will do that math, etc. And that'll be the thing I do to cast it on. But I will, like, I'm gonna skein up a bunch of things today. At least 2 more skeins, because I only had the one that I had just done a gauge swatch a while ago for the stable tank. So I'm going to do 2 more of those. I'm going to do all of these, and I'm going to do the Surrey for my Doppio, and the Doppio cast along is in 2 weeks. And so I just want to have that done so that that's not a mental block for me. Okay, so that is what I have for projects. Let's go on. This box is so big. Like, Holly had to find a box for something else because she didn't have anything big enough to ship it. Partly because there's a lot of fiber in here. This is not all for me. I got shipped 4 people's orders in total. So Ariel got some fiber, which I've not given to her yet because I have not seen her. And this just got here on like Saturday last week. And I did give out, Sylvan got some fiber and yarn, and Katie got some yarn and fiber also. So here's what I got for me. Let's do fiber first. So I decided to do a fade. I decided to do a 7 color fade. 7 is too many probably. I should have done 6, but I think I like couldn't decide, and it was just like the perfect fade. So I would really like, I want to make a faded sweater, but I also, this is a lot, you guys, but I also want it to be, I want it to be spun to fade. So I was talking about this with Maya, and she thought that it would actually work, but I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to do some math and figure out for splitting and stuff, but I'll go through it. So we're starting on let's start on them in order. I can maybe hold them all up afterwards, but okay. So this is called Now That We Don't Talk. And then this is called Peace. Let me do them this way so you can really see the colors. Okay. And this one's like, these are both really beautiful. This has just got some like bluey green tones. And this one has like blue and purple and some gray and some, yeah, that's really it. Some pink in there. Okay. Then we've got sort of like the more saturated pinky purple here, little bit of blue. This is called Sweet Nothing. Okay. So do you see the vision here yet? Then I've got 2 tonals in here. This is called The Archer. I couldn't not also, because I love that color so much. And then this is called Cruel Summer. Okay. Are you with me still? And then we have Bad Blood. And I'll show you these ones in a second, but I can't hold them all if I'm going to do it. And then we have Guilty as Sin. Okay. Do you see my beautiful fade? It's quite different colors. We're going truly to different colors. I have not decided if I'm going to do it all in one. I could also do 2 sweaters. I could do, because this is a lot of yarn, y'all. I could do this as a sweater, or even this one as a sweater. I think probably not with the yellow. I think that's where the line is. Or I could do this as a sweater. I'd be happy with either. I'd be happy with all of it. If I do this, so when I talked to Maya about this, it was that I would split and spin some 2 plies with itself, and then 2 ply together, and then 2 plies itself, and then 2 plies together. So certain colors, like the end colors, would have slightly larger amounts that I probably wouldn't use all of 2 ply together. But then these ones, all the ones in the middle, you would have to split it into, so you just split them all into quarters, I think. And so you do 2 quarters together, and then a quarter here and a quarter here, and then 2 quarters, right? So then that would give you an even-ish looking fade. Anyway, so this is the idea. The fade I was gonna maybe do is sort of like the Le Pouf from Beata Jessic. It's just, but it's got like poofy sleeves. This is a lot of yarn though, like truly. And I think that is even, I think it's like, that's fingering weight held double maybe to make the fade. And I would just do this DK weight because I would be able to control the fade, like just use yarn until I want to go to the next one. And the plies are already plied together. I think it would make a different look than just spinning them all individually and then doing a fade. I haven't decided. I'm not sure. I could do it that way too. I think it'd probably be more interesting to spin it the other way. Spin it, fade it together. The other thing I could do with this, and this maybe is a little bit crazy, and I don't know if this is enough yarn for it then, is like, I've been dreaming of a dress. Would that be crazy? Potentially. Who knows? Let me know what you think about that. Crazy combo. Okay. I have more fiber. Yeah. But I signed up for Coley's quarterly fiber. So I knew I was going to get that big stack of fiber, which is why I'm trying to get through some of the fiber I have in stash. But I signed up for the quarterly, and I'm not going to, I think I'm just not going to spin any of this quarterly stuff until I have the whole year. That's okay with me. I'm not trying to keep up with it month over month or anything. I did sign up for quarterly instead of like getting them quarterly instead of monthly, because that's okay with me. I don't know actually what the order is. I'm pretty sure Cephalopod is first, January. I know that Volcanic is February, and then Death Valley. And this one is really particularly beautiful. And I'm not super into browns, but like the browny rusty parts with this. Oh, yes. Okay. So this is the Paisley Knits quarterly box. I got the wool, just like, sorry, I didn't even say. All of these from Taylor Swift are 100% Falkland Merino spinning fiber. It's 20 to 22 microns. It's very soft. They're all 4 ounces. This one is the like just wool, not the like luxury option. And so they're all 4 ounces. This one is Death Valley is 100% Targi, and it says 23 microns. Volcanic, they do feel different. This is BFL. And it's 25 micron, though this feels very soft and almost airier, just like I think with how it's packed than the Targi. Love to spin both of those though. That's great. And then I think I want to also wait to see what I get, just like to see what I get. This is Polworth, and this is 23 microns. So I've got I've 3 really great things I love to spin also. So this is pretty fun right now. Let's go into the yarn. I definitely bought more yarn from this than I should have. Again, I bought this in September, so I was kind of hoping I'd get it in December. I didn't know that the timeline was going to be this long. It was a long timeline, but it's okay. This is going to be, like I said, the big yarn I pull in April. I'm gonna like kick myself for that too, because this is a lot of yarn. Like this is quite a lot of yardage, more than I'm like even gonna be able to knit in the quarter, even if I bought nothing else, which that seems unlikely, but we'll see. This is called Don't Blame Me. This is Pearl Sock, which is 30% extra fine merino, 19.5 microns, very soft. 40% silk. You guys, this is like around the sticker, so I have to travel with the sticker. 30% yak. This color and this yarn is really unbelievable. It's super soft. It's like really, really soft. It is, yeah, just super lovely. It has like a little bit of a halo, and I think that's the yak. It's just really, really nice. This color is called Don't Blame Me. It's so pretty. It's like got a lot of, it's a cool toned, foresty green is what I would call it, because like there's bits of this that are like truly like warmer green, like there, like almost a brownie green, but, or like, I don't know, a dark, just like a dark green, foresty green. But then there's like some light blue parts. Like it definitely pulls cool, and I'm really excited to have this. Okay, so my plan for this one is to do a Emily Curtis slanty stripes, no stripes, knit in the round. Probably still bottom up, and I'll just do the neck shaping and everything the same way. But I really love, Emily has a version. Also, a couple people knit when we did the Emily Curtis knit along last year pre-flock. There were a couple people that did a one color in the round, and I thought that was fantastic. I really like the shaping of that. I really love that fit on me, so that's on the list. Okay, next one. Next one I have is called the same base, so same Pearl Sock base. This is called Sweet Nothing, and this is actually the color that Kulti was wearing at Flock last year. This is the yarn, the base, and the color. And she and I talked about it for a while, and I was like, okay, I really have to have that exact color. It's a little bit like lighter, more pastel than I would normally pick for myself, but I'm so excited. I'm going to make the Sweetgrass Tank from Samantha Guerin. That's my plan with this one. I actually have enough for a t-shirt, but I just really love that. I love that pattern, and I love the shaping and like the design on it, and I love how drapey that I think this will be for it. So I think it'll be perfect. And I think that gauge is a little bit tight. So I do think I would need like into the third skein, probably not all of it, but that's okay. I got a nebula quantity of this. This is Swimming Surrey DK. It's a DK weight, 90% Surrey alpaca, 10% silk, 1 ply. Not the same as like her cloud base, and it's 246 yards for 100 grams. It's truly a DK weight, and you can see here, it's got that, it's like, it's slubby, like it's very thick and thin Surrey. So I'm like, Farmer's Daughter has the Odang DK. I think Odang DK is what it's called. Anyway, there are a couple other dyers and stuff that have this composition. I've heard that it's a big pain to rip out, like very, very cumbersome. So we'll be careful, but I am going to plan to do the nebula, and I think I'm going to do a long sleeve one, and maybe not quite as high-low as it is, though that is the look of that one. So we'll sort of see if what I mod on it. But a red, I wanted a really red fluffy. This is like the perfect red also. I kind of wish I got this red in like 6 spaces because that's how much I love it. It's like a very blue leaning red. It's imagine me in this red lipstick. It's gonna be so good. Okay. And that's called Getaway Car, which is the actual perfect color for that one, I think. Okay, the next one is actually, I think I have the most like skeins of this that I got, but I got a sweater quantity of this called Vigilante Shit. You know I love this color. I'm really excited. This is Albatross DK. I really want to try this base too. So this is a new from this. This was the first time that she had it in this collection. It's a DK weight, 22 to 23 micron, 70% Falkland Merino, 15% baby alpaca, 15% silk. Coley was making a sample out of this that she and I chatted about, and I was like, okay, I really love the stitch definition. I love everything about it. It is a 2-ply. And it's really pretty. It reminds me a little bit of like the Sunday morning DK or whatever from Sonder, like just how open the 2-ply is. But my plan for this is to make a Cargill sweater, which is a pattern by Rebecca Clow. I changed my plans a little bit for this. I was originally wanting to do a willow with this from Andrea Gown. I could do that still, but I kind of thought about the willow a little bit more, and I think I want to do that with mohair because of the box, like how it is open. Like for me it to be more wearable for me, I think I want mohair to like just fill in the gaps so I can like wear it a little bit more in the year. That's my plan for that. Anyway, so I shifted plans and I got a little bit more yardage of this. And I think the Cargill. I am planning to make this with my friend Kaylee, and she and I will cast on in the fall sometime. She was like, she just got her order too. So we were chatting about it, and she's going to do a green color. I can't remember what green, but she and I were chatting about it, and she was like, yeah, I think a fall. And I said, fall's great. Let's push this to the fall. So that's one. Okay, the last thing I got is also quite a lot. This is maybe the one I'm most excited for. I can't actually tell you that. I love all of these plans so very much. Okay, I got the full mini set. And this has got bopped around in here a little bit, so I don't know if this is like the actual order. I'm not going to tell you all the colors. I can't remember most of them, but like here's that Archer color again. Here's Getaway Car. Here's Vigilante Shit. This one, I don't remember that was called. This one is the one I have Champagne Problems. I've got, yeah. Anyway, so really lovely. Super excited. I know this yellow is called Gold Rush because I knit part of my sample with that. Okay, so yeah, really lovely. This is in the Cove Sock. And I am going to pair that with Champagne Problems. Yes, this is a bit yellowy of a white for me, but I think because there's going to be so much color in it, I'm going to be okay with that. I am going to make a Straya. That's a really bold statement. That's a really hard pattern to slog through. I actually think I might start it this summer, or I'll wait for next summer, but I kind of want it to be like a summer slog. I think that fingering weight sweaters are actually pretty great to knit in the summer because they're not too heavy to carry around or have on your lap, but you get like the transitional sweaters by the time you get into fall. So the Straya is by Andrew Mowry. It is a fingering weight, half fisherman's rib, cardigan. You guys, I couldn't even get through the birch, so I don't know. This is like a really bold statement, but I think the stripes will help me. I will eventually cast the birch back on, but I got enough skeins to do this. This is and this one is a fingering weight, 90%, 19.5 micron extra fine superwash merino and 10% recycled nylon. which is maybe also a bold choice for the Straya instead of doing a non-superwash, but I'm gonna go with it because that's what these were coming in, and I wanted to have the same tone, etc. And I think this is maybe the only option, or there's like just a couple options, but for fingering weight, this is what I wanted for the minis. So there are 13 minis total, but I'm not going to include Champagne Problems because obviously, but I might include the rest of them. The only one I'm kind of on the fence for is this Seafoamy Green because it's just not a lot of contrast. But I think if that's the only one, even the gray, I feel like maybe the gray too. So maybe I'll bop it down to 10, and I'll have 10 instead of like whatever the 5 that's recommended. I will pick an order. I don't know that it will be rainbow order. I will pick some sort of order, and just do that throughout. And then depending on even like where the stripes are, like I think it's a 4 and 2 or whatever, repeat. I actually have no idea. I never looked at the pattern that closely, but, I could make it more frequent too, like super striped. I don't know. I'll do a swatch and we'll see. I did a swatch for my sea glass this week also. I have decided I like the plan that I originally had. So that is something I'm planning to cast on also this week, which sounds crazy, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to cast on my mom's Sora. I'm going to cast on a sea glass. So 2 more Wool and Pine designs coming up. And I will... yeah, just keep trucking. Okay, so that's a lot of yarn, y'all. That was a lot of yarn. I still have not added it all to my tracker, but I will. I'll add the fiber. I'll get it into the cubbies where it needs to go. Okay, this week I read some really fantastic books. Actually, I feel like this was a really good reading week. Yeah, so I'm into it. All of these were really great. So let's go through them pretty quickly. I think I read 6 books and that was a lot. But a couple that I was like most of the way through at the end of last week. So I finished the 3rd of the Meant to Be books. What I forgot to tell you about this is like when I said they're Disney like adaptations, like adult romance of Disney, contemporary, whatever. Yes, they are, but like they're literally produced by Disney, part of this. So just in case you were like wondering, I think some of the like the tidbits they pull in from the stories are like very cute, like the things that make them like the stories. A lot of times it's like name adjacent things too, but like less obvious things too that they pull in, which were like kind of like little Easter eggs that you're like, oh yeah, I know these things. Anyway, Kiss the Girl is and I was wrong. I said Mulan last week, but it's Tangled is the last one. It's called like Tangled in You or Tangled Up in You. That one I can't find the audiobook version of, and that's very confusing to me, because they were all released like at the same time, since they were all by different authors. They just like did them all last year sometime or the year before. So I'm not sure why I can't find the other one, but like my library bought 3 and not 4. So the last one is I can get it on ebook, and I just haven't decided if I'm going to do that. Anyway, so this one is by Zoraida Cordova, who I've never read a book from her. I liked this. I thought this was a pretty good romance. Obviously, they all kind of follow the same formula and stuff, but this one is Little Mermaid, and it's following a girl who is like a child star singer with her sisters, and that's very fun. And they decide to like have their last tour, and then she needs to get out from under her father's thumb. And she actually goes on tour with Eric, who is a musician, just trying to make it in the industry, but it's all undercover, so she doesn't have a voice, right? Like he doesn't know her singing voice. This is, you know, those little things. Anyway, I think it actually goes, I liked it. I thought that like how things shake out are pretty good. The things that happen in the story it's very adorable. A little bit slow burn. Again, very much not spicy. These are like very low key, but still really fun. Okay, I finished the second of with my eyeballs. I read a book called Stay, which is the second of the Wags book. That is a Elle Kennedy and Sarina Bowen book. You know, the both of them. What I didn't realize is, and I thought this in the beginning, I was like, wow, this seems like there was a story with the first girl, the protagonist, her brother, and one of the hockey players. And I was like, I feel like this was a story. I realized Sarina Bowen, not Elle Kennedy, had written those, and they didn't show up in the same series or anything. So I might go back and read them. It's like us, them, and something else. I don't know. There's 3 of them, but the third one is actually after these, so these couples are in it too, but it's like a later. Anyway, we'll see. I'll see what I decide on. Also, I think those are all ebooks, so it's just how much I can get done. Okay, So, but it was good. That one was about actually kind of interesting, like a personal assistant service, sort of, just like, you can text in, request it, you pay like a monthly fee. You also pay for the request plus like a fee. So if they go shopping for you, they charge some sort of like, I mean, think of like Instacart, but this is anything in the world you can request pretty much. And even like hard things, and they make it happen. So yeah. But it's interesting. Anyway, she owns this business with her ex-husband. She has one of her clients is one of the hockey players, and he likes her, and they start a relationship. Anyway, the third book I read was actually so good. Maybe my favorite one from this week. I just love her writing. Okay, this is a Mariana Zapata book called Kulti. And Kulti is the name of the guy who's the male lead in this. This is another super slow burn, great payoff at the very, very, very end. It is about a female, like, let's call her, she's like a US women's soccer player. Like pro. It's a lot about like the disparity between men and women's soccer, and just men and women's sports in general. That comes up a lot, just in popularity and in pay and some other things. And then it's about him, about the team she's on getting a new coach who was like he's retired, but he was like the best player in the world for like a decade, right? Like a talent of the generation type player. And so, but he's like a surly, curmudgeon-y German man, and he's just so great as a character, like so good. And it's he takes on coaching her a little bit more closely because he thinks that she's a great talent, and it's really good. It's a lot of like, it's not even enemies to lovers. It's just like just something happened. Just so many changes in the both of them and their relationship. And she does a slow burn like no one else, in like that I really see their friendship grow. I see the reasons that they have feelings. Like, it's just, plus their surprises. So I loved it. I thought it was great. Again, that's Mariana Zapata. And if you can get your hands on any books from her, do it. They're so good. Okay. The next one I read was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I thought this was back to being a really good Ashley Poston book. This was not as good to me as 7 Year Slip. I don't know that anything will be from her, because that was just like pinnacle. Amazing. This was really good though. And I totally saw the twist coming, like absolutely very early on. I was like, this is fishy, but I thought it was really, really wonderful. It was, so basically, it's about a girl that can see ghosts, and her father shares this talent, and then her father passes and she has to go home, and she hasn't been home in a decade because she was in a small town, and she could see ghosts, and people knew about it because she accidentally solved a murder when she was 13. And so that's pretty scarring. This whole thing is like a little bit scarring. And she also is a ghost writer for a like really popular, author, romance author, but she thinks romance is dead. Okay, so that's, there's a lot of dead happening in here. It was really good though. Very, very fun read. If you're on the fence for this one, I would say definitely go for it. Okay. And also definitely like less spicy, like a little bit, but like there's just a lot of tension, and tension is great, and tension is what we're here for. Then I read 6 Scorched Roses, which is The Crowns of Nyaxia, book 1.5. It's just a little novella. It was pretty short. It was like 4 hours and 30 minutes of listening time, in half for me. So the length of a long movie. It's by Carissa Broadbent. I love Carissa Broadbent. I've been struggling with this series though, I will say. I read the first one, which is like The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I think. Yes. And I read that one very quickly, and I read that with my eyeballs, and I had a great time. I thought it was so great. It was like vampires, extra things at stake, Hunger Games, like so good with more spice. And then this one is supposed to go in between, but I started reading 2 and I paused. I didn't want to DNF it. I paused. I wasn't reading a lot at night. And then this one came up, and I was like, okay, let me read this one, which is just a separate character, not like because that's a duology. And this is like another character that just like comes up in the second book. But it's very enlightening because they do talk about that relationship in the second book. So this was really good. It's about a human woman who's a scientist trying to cure a plague that's happening in her homeland, where one of the vampires comes to, and she goes to the vampire to see if his blood can help be a cure, and strikes a deal with him. And there's like the whole thing with Nyaxia, there's like gods that are present but not present, and like make decisions, kind of think like Greek gods like coming down and like meddling in and in doing things. Anyway, that was good though. I'm gonna get back to the second one eventually. Actually, I'm gonna get back to the second one. I will finish it. I don't know when, but I will. Okay, and then I read the first of the Rebel Blue Ranch series called Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage. This one comes up on Book Talk like romance all the time. So I had it on my list forever, and it was in the TBR for a really long time at the library. And I just got it and I was like, yep, sounds like a cowboy romance kind of week. And so here I am for it. And it was so good. Spice factor is like a 2.5 pepper maybe. Like it was definitely like there was like a couple explicit scenes. Let's just say that. It wasn't like overly so. It wasn't the whole plot. There's a lot of tension first. This one is like interesting. It kind of straddled the line to me between like insta-love and like forbidden romance, and like we have a long history. So basically a girl comes back into town and the brother's best friend is like, ooh, who are you? And she's also like, wow, you're so grown up and not like a bad guy anymore or whatever, like, bad kid, rebel kid. Rebel Blue is the ranch that her family owns. And she is a barrel racer who had a bad accident and has got some fear of getting back on her horse. And he is a very patient man. And so I think it feels like really wholesome and nice. It's a really great love story and I really enjoyed it. Okay, that's it for books this week. I had a great reading week. Like seriously, I think pretty much all of them I would be like, yep, thumbs up, please go read these. As always, titles are below and stuff. Okay, I'm out of time for filming and for chatting with you all because this is the day I have got to film in a weird time. But thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you had fun knitting with me. Next week we'll talk about the flock knit along. I actually sent in a couple of comments to people who gave me ideas like, oh, maybe we'll vote. But I reached out to Emily and Ariel, Emily from Gently Chaotic Knits, Ariel from Airy Knits, who are both friends of mine I knit with in person during our knit nights. We decided, I asked them if they wanted to do a 3 podcast knit along, and so that's what we're going to do this year for Flock. So I'm really excited for that. I do actually think somebody gave us this idea and I think this is the one that we're going to go with. Don't quote me yet, but I think it's going to be, and you can give me ideas if you like it, but I think we're going to do a Tori U knit along. Tori has some really amazing t-shirt patterns. If you're joining Flock or not, it'll be like a Tori U t-shirt knit, but I think that'll be really fun. I have the Uptown Tea is one that I want to do and have yarn for, and so I think that's probably the one I will cast on. I don't know if I'm going to wear that at Flock other than for the pictures, but it's really exciting. I'm going to do it anyway. So I hope that you will join us for that. Details of dates and stuff to come next week after Ariel and Emily and I can actually like have a little chat about that. But yeah, I thought I'd let you know. Okay, so I hope you have a great week. If you want to join me on Discord, if you want to follow along on Instagram, give me a like below, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I had a great time talking with you, and I'll talk to you next week.